So I want to say something about mental control, because if you don't want to be anxious, but you are, that means that something in your mind is out of your control. But that's kind of weird, because your mind is just in your head. So surely you can choose what you have going on in your head, can't you? And I think there are levels. So there's what you think, but there's also what you think about what you think. So you might be thinking, oh, I think the boss doesn't like me. But you can then think about that and you can think, well, isn't it odd that I think the boss doesn't like me? Because really I've got no evidence for that. So you can look at what you think. And of course, that's what makes us different to animals. We've got self-awareness, we're self-conscious. So why don't we control what we think? Or even control what we think about what we think? And one way to do that is the mantras that I've been talking about. So when you say, I wish I wasn't so anxious, that's you commenting on your thoughts. So one way to do this is to play games with your subconscious. And this is what neuro-linguistic programming, or NLP, is about. So you could watch your worries float away or become very small and grey. Somebody told me about a bad example of this, and she said that when I stand up to give a talk, she said all my planning just floats up out of my head into the sky and I'm left with nothing. And it's so powerful, isn't it? But of course we want to keep the good stuff, but we want the worries to become smaller and smaller and perhaps disappear behind us, or just become very sort of grey and monochrome and weak. So that's one game you can play. But a more powerful thing you can do to really get control of these thoughts that are bouncing around in our heads is to meditate. And I think meditation's fascinating, because what is meditation? And it's a sort of reboot of your brain in a way. So you just sit in somewhere peaceful for maybe 15 minutes and you think about absolutely nothing. You sit there probably with your eyes shut, but you can do it with your eyes open as well. And you just sit there, don't lie down because you'll fall asleep, and you just let your mind go quiet. And every time you think, I need to do so-and-so, just say, I'll come back to that later. And you just let your mind go completely quiet. And what you're doing is you're giving your mind a little bit of time to just sort itself out, to untangle itself, because it's got nothing else coming in that's new. It can just work on what it's got and actually get kind of ahead of the game for the first time during the day. So you just let it unwind a little bit. I found that when I've tried meditation, and I must admit, I'm not very good at doing it regularly, but when I do it, I do find that, first of all, I do feel as if I've run a defragmentation program in my mind. So all the little bits have all been organised and put back into their right places. So it just feels like it runs a bit faster, if you know what I mean. It makes me more creative. All these ideas are then popping in because I've made some space for ideas to come in. And quite often a particular problem that I've had has been solved. It's as if my brain, while it was having a little rest, like a holiday for your brain, has come out with some problems. But also it gives you more mental power, more control. So you're able to say to yourself, I don't have to think like that, and I'm not going to think like that. So it's almost like one more level. You've got the thoughts, you've got your thoughts about your thoughts, and then you've got the real you. And meditation kind of strengthens that real you and allows you to say, I'm not going to have those thoughts. So if I'm feeling a bit impatient or a bit lazy or whatever, I can just think, actually, I'm not going to be impatient. I'm not going to have that. Or I'm not going to be lazy. I'm going to do that extra bit because I can. So it gives you that mental strength to control your thoughts. So you could think, I'm not going to be anxious about this. It's stupid. There's no point. I'm just not going to do it. So I really would urge you to think about your thoughts in your heads and to try meditation.